Welcome to The Painting Coach. Now, this is a video that I wasn't sure I was going to make, but then I thought I probably should. Now, you may remember way back when in the past, my friend Ben and I decided we were going to do a New Year, New Army challenge. Now, whilst if you've been watching Ben's progress, and I'll put a link to his videos down below, you'll know that he finished a long time ago. The same cannot be said for me. This is my public confession that I absolutely failed in the New Year, New Army challenge. Sorry guys, I let you down. But we're not going to sit around making any excuses. Now, I've already got the vast majority of the army built, so we're going to have a little look at some of the choices I made to go into the army. I'm also going to tell you a little bit why I'm not going to push myself to finish this in the last month of the year. But this isn't a negative woe is me style video. What I'm going to do is show you everything I have got, because I've pretty much got the entire army built at least. Now, you will have seen in some videos that some of it is painted, albeit just the one tank and one lone guardsman. But essentially I wanted to talk about what I decided to do with the army and look at what's going to happen to it moving forward, because it's all here. There's no point actually starting again or creating another new army. It's more a case of finishing this one. And I'm also going to touch on why I'm not going to rush to finish it between now and the end of the year. Yes, there's an entire month left, but I think it's probably worth taking some stock, and I'll explain my thought process on that. So first up, let's look at the one model I've completely finished, and that is the Rogel Dawn tank. Now, you may have seen one of the previous videos where I showed you how I painted this tank and how I was going to paint the rest of the army to match. And if you haven't seen that, the link for that is going to be in the description as well. Now, I'm really proud of this tank. I'm really happy with how it came out. So I'm going to really try and replicate this scheme across the other vehicles in the army. So you might be wondering then, well, if you've painted one tank, what else have you done? So if you remember the original scope of the challenge, it was to build a 2,000 point army using the Christmas box set as a basis. So in the Christmas box set, I got 2 Rogel Dawns, a command squad, and 20 Cadian troopers. So this is where we're at. That's the basis for the rest of this army. Let's have a look at what else we added to build up this force. So to add to that, we've obviously got 4 Leman Russes. So we've got a Leman Russ tank commander with a demolisher cannon. We've got a Leman Russ exterminator. We've got a normal Leman Russ battle tank. And we've also got another Leman Russ demolisher, which is currently just a turret because I can't quite find the chassis. We've got 2 field ordnance guns. We've got Ursula Creed and we've got a Castellan. We've also got another 10 Cadian troopers. Now, there are another 10 to come on top of this, and there's also some Kazakin as well. So there is still a fairly hefty amount to finish, and to be honest, with the recent announcement of the new Guard Codex, I'm not 100% sure that the list will stay like this. Now, like I said, I could rush to paint all of this by the end of the year, and that's not really going to give me the enjoyment that I want out of this army. Let me ask you a question. What first got you into Warhammer? Now, whilst I first got involved in 3rd edition, it wasn't until my very early 20s that I got properly into it, and that was actually to help with my mental health. Now, I found painting to be really relaxing and a great escape, and that's why I'm really thrilled to announce the paid partner of this video, BetterHelp. BetterHelp is an online platform that matches therapists to clients based on their needs. You don't need to have a clinical diagnosis to start therapy with BetterHelp. Taking the first step is an enormous sign of strength, courage, and self-awareness that you might need some support with your mental health. Therapy is a safe space where you can share what's on your mind, whether it's stress, sadness, worries, or relationship issues, without fear of judgment. With BetterHelp, ensure that any therapists on their platform are well qualified. You can get guided help from a trained mental health professional who will listen, ask questions, and help you see things from a new perspective. If you find that you don't quite click with your therapist, you can easily request a different one via the platform. Starting therapy with BetterHelp is easy. Just fill out a simple questionnaire and you'll usually be matched with an appropriate therapist within a few days. There's a journal inside the platform for personal reflection, and there are group sessions on a number of different topics available every day, and you can make contact in a way that suits you. I know this time of year can be tough, especially in the Northern Hemisphere, where the nights are closing in, the weather's getting colder, and the holiday season is around the corner. If you're struggling and you think you'd benefit from a therapy session, click the link in the description or go to betterhelp.com/thepaintingcoach and get 10% off your first month of therapy. So having just run that sponsor ad and also relying on my personal experience, now you may have seen this video, but do you remember when I painted some Seraphim in 5 days? That was a lovely challenge to do, and I really enjoyed it whilst I was doing it. But what I found was at the end of those 5 days, whilst I had a Vanguard Force that I could use on the tabletop, I was absolutely exhausted. And actually, it took my hobby mojo for a good week or two. And that affected all sorts of things, like my desire to paint, to build, to create content. So, whilst the idea of doing these fantastic challenges is attractive, the reality is that as a 40-year-old man with a full-time job who does YouTube on the side and a family, it's very difficult to actually commit to that. So I'm going to take the loss on this one and take a step back and decide a little bit about what I want to do with the army moving forward. Now, if you've been living under a rock, you will have missed the fact that Games Workshop just announced all their new plastic Krieg miniatures. Now, I love the Krieg miniatures they did for Kill Team. They're fantastic, and all these new minis look amazing as well. So it may well be that I look to add a couple of those to this army. It may well be that they make their own separate detachment. I'm not entirely sure yet. But also with that in mind, the new codex comes out, and it's the first codex for 2025. So obviously the list I've built is going to be out of date in terms of points. So it might be worth looking at it. I know one of the detachments is a tank detachment. Yes, I love tanks. Now, whilst I've got a tank commander, apparently the new codex is going to have a Rogel Dawn tank commander. Now, I do have an extra Rogel Dawn here, so I think actually I might add that into the army as well, and maybe run this as a tank spearhead style force. I'm not entirely sure. It'll all depend on what the rules are like, but certainly from painting models, that's going to give me a lot more of an opportunity to get these on the table quickly. Of course, I'm still going to have to paint some infantry, but at least now I've given myself the time to just work on them slowly on my own accord. I'm not rushing for a deadline. I'm actually going to be able to paint these for the pleasure because the new Astra Militare models are fantastic. I really do like the Castellan model as well. He was going to be leading some Kazakin in a Chimera. I'm not sure if I'll still do that. We'll wait and see. Oh, and the other thing I needed to let you all know as well is the name of my regiment. I decided to go with the Cerulean Jaegers. Now, Cerulean is a shade of blue, and Jaegers, I believe, is German for hunters. And I thought blue hunters, Cerulean Jaegers is quite 40k, so I'm going to stick with that. And I do promise you that in 2025, I'll get this entire army finished. So let's quickly recap where I'm at with my new year, new army. It's a failure in terms of actually completing 2,000 points. Does that mean the army goes in the bin? Absolutely not. It means I just work on them in my own time. And whereas as part of that original challenge, Ben and I were going to have that fight on the tabletop with our armies, that will still happen. It'll just be at some point later in 2025 rather than 2024 when we initially hoped. I'm relying on my own experience of trying to paint everything really, really quickly and actually figuring out that that leads to burnout. So I'm not going to do that this time. I'm going to take my time. And also with the new codex coming, I think it's pertinent to actually take a step back and have a look at how the different detachments work. Because actually, I think if I can get away with a really nice tank detachment, that's the way I'm going to go. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for watching all the videos in this series. If you liked the video, leave a like and a comment down below. Otherwise, I'll see you next time.